Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football. This is Anthony, producer of 30 Minutes of Football and Legit Football, and I'm here with Kevin Phillip Fox of at the Buffalo Trail on Twitter. How you doing, Kevin?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic, man. As the listeners might know, my heart is still broken and I'm still recovering from my boys being sent home last week. But credit to the Bengals. They were the better team on that field, no question. And I think we have the best four teams standing. So that's going to be a long off season of picking up the pieces and trying to figure out where Buffalo went wrong and how they can retool and come back. But that being said, there's nowhere to go but forward for the football fans, and I'm right there with everyone. I got my NFL cap on. I'm Rob Lowe for the rest of the way. I'm ready to just support everybody, So I'm excited for this podcast, man.
I love that. That is good to hear. So as usual, we're going to set a 30-minute timer, and we're just going to talk about player props as well as the conference championships coming up. You're right; these four teams are. I mean, it's a good slate of
Oh
games.
man,
So I'm really excited to see how this plays out.
it's kind of unbelievable that the NFL is this spoiled, honestly, with these kinds of matchups at this stage. Feels like each game could be anyone's game.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, 30 minutes of football with football starts now. So, who sticks out to you in the NFC? We're going to talk about the NFC first. Who sticks out to you in the NFC Conference Championship?
Well, I think the big X factor in this game is going to be Jalen Hurts. If he gets going, if he can move around and manipulate the pocket the way he's been doing all year, pick up chunk plays with his legs, I don't really see a way that San Francisco's defense, however outstanding they are, can slow him down. I think the X factors are going to be their linebackers and their safeties, players like Fred Warner, players like Jimmy Ward, Talanoa Hufanga. Those guys have been outstanding against pretty much everybody this year. Like San Francisco's really, really hemmed in some great offenses. So I think Jalen Hurts, hopefully loosening up the defense with a couple chunk plays on the ground, maybe opening up some room for AJ Brown over the top or Devontae Smith underneath to create something. But I think that's the biggest matchup that I'm watching is the chess match between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Kyle Shanahan and the defense of the 49ers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tennis match at first, and then we're going to start seeing touchdowns because both
Yeah,
offenses are going to be able to really figure it out.
yeah,
Shanahan knows how to use Brock Purdy to his advantage. Mr. Relevant, almost undrafted, and
yeah.
now he's where he is now. And so it's going to be tough with that kind of pressure, especially against that Eagles defense. So if Shanahan can just, put around Brock Purdy what he needs to succeed, then they could put up points. To beat the Eagles, you do have to you have to get through that defense, and that defense, especially the pass rush. Brock Purdy has a habit of scrambling out of the pocket, and he gets confused. He doesn't know what to do. So if
Yeah,
the Eagles just do that, push him out of the pocket, that's where they'll succeed in the pass rush.
yeah, I will say Purdy's looked more human since the playoffs have started, like especially on those broken down plays where he's like off script and he's like out of the pocket. He looks a little more human now than he did prior to the playoffs. He kind of seemed infallible a little bit. I mean, I know everybody's got a kryptonite, everybody's got a weakness. No player is perfect, but Purdy seemed like he might be until the playoffs. He made some mistakes against Dallas that it was pretty shocking to see them not capitalize on. I think that's kind of more of a knock on Dallas's offense, the lack of Tony Pollard, Dak Prescott being Dak Prescott. Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, it's low hanging fruit, but he's not the guy that people think he is. I
No.
think he's still a decent quarterback, top 10 maybe. Um, but that being said, Purdy has done a pretty decent job finding answers, especially in the scripted part of the game, and especially when he's getting the ball to those weapons. So I agree the pressure is huge, not just from a literal, like human standpoint, the pressure is massive. He's a freaking kid in the NFC championship game, but also the pressure will be massive because Philly's defensive line is stout, one of the best in the NFL. So that's another good X factor. I would say Hurts versus the ball hawking playmakers of the 49ers and Purdy versus the unbelievable pressure that Philadelphia is going to bring. So that's a lot of things that we're looking at there.
So with the Eagles being the greatest offensive line of all of these teams in the playoffs right now,
Mhm.
the pass rush that the 49ers are used to, they're going to have to make some kind of adjustment if they want to even touch Jalen Hurts. And even if they do get by Jalen Hurts, he knows how to scramble out of the pocket and make a play. he has that ability, and I think that's going to be crucial. I agree with you. It's going to be Jalen Hurts versus that defense,
Hmm.
and I think that especially with the play calling that the Eagles are, I mean, they're really good at calling the right plays in the right situations.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a big where Dallas was not. So the
exactly.
49ers, they could, like, expose Dallas's weakness and use it against them. They're not gonna be able to do that against the Eagles. So they're going to have to be better on offense if they're gonna beat this Eagles team.
Yeah, I believe the term that's thrown around by most coaches and quarterbacks and anybody who's familiar with the NFL lingo is situational football. Sirianni's been and Shanahan both have been
Yeah.
geniuses at situational football this year. So seeing these two titans like of the NFC and two of the best running teams, two of the best defenses, two of the best offenses, it really feels like we're spoiled that that's the noon game Pacific time. Like we're waking up to that basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the marquee matchup, I would say, even of the weekend, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, it might be closer given that we don't know about Mahomes' ankle. That could equal out those other two teams a little bit more. But Chiefs Bengals have been throwing haymakers at each other every time they play. And not to get ahead of ourselves, I'll stay in the matchup that we're on.
Mhm.
Situational football is going to be king this weekend, and whoever
Absolutely.
makes fewer mistakes feels like they're going to be the ones advancing to the big dance.
There's a rumor going around a little bit that AJ Brown was not 100%.
I
Then
did hear that.
AJ Brown came out and said, "I'm doing just fine. I'm doing great. Like, I'm ready to play." Like, I don't know where that came from. Maybe someone saw him limp a little bit. I don't know, but if he can use AJ Brown like he has all season, then AJ Brown's gonna be the guy to watch.
Yeah,
If I'm gonna bet on a prop, it's going to be AJ Brown over on receiving yards and touchdowns. I just think he's going to get the ball a lot because he's so reliable.
yeah, and that's not a bad call because San Francisco's maybe their biggest, I don't want to say weakness, but maybe the place where they've been the most, um, the place where you could attack them the easiest would be in their secondary and more so on the boundaries, like their corners. And AJ Brown has been torching guys all year.
Yeah.
He's been beating guys over the top and 20 yards down the field all year. And Hertz has been finding them, and that's credit to Hertz. I mean, you said it yourself. You can try to hem him in the pocket. You can try to take away his matter. He's been a pocket passer at times this year, and he's been throwing for 300 plus and 2 or 3 touchdowns if you take away his rushing. So it's not like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen where you can just neuter him and you take away one thing. I mean, let's be fair. Josh has been pretty great this year. I'm kind of thinking of this past game as a bigger sample size, but teams have taken stuff away from those big stud quarterbacks. I don't think you can take either thing off the menu for Hertz because he'll respond with the other thing. He he's
He'll find a way no
he
matter what.
plays rock paper scissors in real time when he's back there, and I think it'll be fun to continue to watch him try to pick apart the SF defense with SF's offense, trying to penetrate that seemingly impenetrable front of Philadelphia. I think McCaffrey's going to have to get going on the edges. I think they're going to have to get a sweep game going. I wouldn't be surprised to see San Francisco run the ball 35, 40 times, get Debo some carries, get Ayuk involved in the short passing game.
I mean,
It's
even George Kittle has been one of the best tight ends just
yeah,
in the postseason. He's just
yeah.
been incredible.
Their weapons have been like it's not even fair how
Yeah.
much how like
Brock
how
Purdy's spoiled. He's
he
spoiled. He
really
has the
is.
offense that any quarterback wishes they had. He doesn't have to be the GOAT to use that offense, to score with that offense. He only has to know how to throw the ball, how to read a defense. That's all he has to know. He doesn't have to be an Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have to be a Josh Allen. All he has to be is a Brock Purdy because everyone else would do the rest of the work.
I mean, we've seen it with Jimmy Garoppolo year in and year out, getting that team further and further, going to the Super Bowl, going to the conference championship several times. That offense is, I don't want to say quarterback proof because you have to have a guy who can hit the layups.
Yeah.
You have to have a guy who has it between the ears to call the right plays, to put the ball in the right spots. But that offense has seemed to be pretty infallible. I think that offense is going to continue to produce. I don't think Philly's going to keep the lid on them. But like I said, McCaffrey and Mitchell and Debo and Jawan Jennings, they got weapons, man. I think they'll get going. I personally think Philly has more firepower, and I think that that's going to matter in a game like this.
It could come down to turnovers. Whoever loses the
That's
ball the
true.
most time, most times they're going to lose. And I think that that's true just because both offenses are so good at scoring that
Yeah.
you're not going to see a drive where they punt it. You're not going to see a drive where you're going to see interceptions or a fumble. That those are the turnovers you're going to see. I don't think we're going to see much punting. Maybe some field goals. Both defenses are very well, but both offenses just know how to get the ball down the field.
Yeah, we have a lot of very fundamentally sound football being played. We have a lot of responsible football being played by these two teams, which is one thing that I envy because I had seen Josh not play the most responsible football this year. I don't know about. I think Goff was pretty good at staying on schedule this year.
Yeah,
Goff
second
was
half of the season,
Goff was pretty good
especially.
staying ahead of the sticks, but staying ahead of the sticks is football 101. If you pick up 3 or 4 yards on first down, you do a toss play to McCaffrey, you do a sweep to Debo, and you gain 6 7 yards. You're in position to get you. It's a layup. That first down is a layup from there. You have
Yeah,
three cracks at getting 3 yards, and those are that's the kind of decision making that we've seen prevail this year. And depending on how Philly utilizes their running backs in this game, I think it'll be interesting because Miles Sanders had an unbelievable stretch of football this year, but he also went kind of quiet towards the end of the year, and
yeah,
I think we'll see how they utilize Gainwell and Boston Scott. I mean, it's going to be strength versus strength, Anthony, and it's going to be the clash of the Titans. And if we're picking the game, which I'm looking forward to doing, I think I'd pick Philadelphia to cover the spread. I believe it's 2.5 or 3. I
all right.
think I'd pick Philadelphia. What do you think?
I have to agree with you. I do think that the Eagles are gonna find a way to win. The 49ers are gonna keep it competitive, but at the end of the day, I think the Eagles are more prepared. I think that their roster is they're a little bit stronger. Yeah, you have your X factor guys on San Francisco, but I think the Eagles just have it together more. And the Eagles had it together all season, where San Francisco took a while to really get it going. Now they're getting it going and it's playoffs. So it's like, all
Yeah.
right, well, if we would were to have been doing this the entire season, it might be a different story, but they didn't. And so I think the Eagles with like, okay, we know how to win games. Clearly, let's just keep doing what we're doing. We have a rhythm, and now they're keeping that rhythm. I think we're going to see Philadelphia in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm definitely picking Philly to win and cover. But obviously, San Francisco, they have some team of destiny vibes with Mr.
Yeah,
Irrelevant. It's really hard to knock that story. It's really hard to knock what they've accomplished. And yeah, they were definitely a second half of the year team, which can be a good thing. You're getting hot at the right time. Philly kind of never really cooled off. They lost the one random kind of fluky Monday night game to the Commanders, and they lost a couple games that Hurts was sitting for, but they really were pretty much one of the best, most complete regular season teams that we've seen in a long time, and they showed no
absolutely.
signs of slowing down in the playoffs. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be
Yes, it
exciting.
is. So we have 3 minutes left to talk about the NFC till we're at halftime. So I do want to ask you who's under? If you're betting on an under, who are you betting on? Who's going to be
Oof,
slowed down in this game?
this has been a really difficult line for me, but Brock Purdy historically is 7-0 as a almost undrafted rookie quarterback. Incredible stat. He threw for 2 touchdowns minimum in his first 6 starts. He threw for, I want to say, zero last week. And I'm inclined to think that he won't throw for two against Philly. With their corners, Darius Slay and Bradbury have been playing out of their minds. I think if SF's going to attack Philly anywhere, it's going to be in the running game. So I don't think Purdy throws for 2 touchdowns. I would take the under on Brock Purdy's passing touchdowns, 1.5. What do you think?
I like those odds, and you make a good point. He did not throw a touchdown last week.
Tough.
They kept on the run game, which it worked. They
It did.
won. They made it to
Yeah.
the championship.
Yep.
So why throw it if you can run it and you have Christian McCaffrey? So I agree with you. I think that I would bet on Brock Purdy's under just because of that. He is still Mr. Irrelevant. He is still 7th round pick. He is still a rookie. So and he showed his human side when
Yeah.
he threw that ball away. Almost took too long to throw that ball away. So that was very close. I was holding my breath. I'm like, Purdy, be careful there. Like that's a rookie
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah.
And now he's been exposed, and the
A little
Eagles know
bit.
that.
The ball is rolling. I would say he still has a pretty good shine to him. 7-0 is pretty incredible,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
conference
You can't
championship
deny it.
as a rookie is pretty sick. So yeah, it's yeah, but I get what you mean though. I don't disagree with you that there are some cracks in the foundation of his perfect 7-0 run, his rookie of the year run, which that's its own thing. I think he's fantastic, but I can't believe off of 4 regular season games or 5 or 6, whatever, that he's in the running for rookie of the year. I think that's a little
Yeah.
bit dramatic personally, but
It might be a bit much. I might have to agree with you. If we're talking about that, if we're talking about offensive rookie of the year, I mean Kenneth Walker.
yeah, right? And
Because he
Olave was snubbed. He wasn't even
both of them,
nominated.
they were more consistent,
Yeah.
they played more games, you gotta give it to them. I know Brock Purdy is like this historic story, it's almost like Kurt Warner
Mhm.
story kinda story, and so but you can't take it away from the guys who've been playing well all season.
Yeah, it's
That
definitely
we'll
it's
talk
tough.
more about that after the Super Bowl, of course.
Right.
Um, but, we're at 15 minutes.
Sweet.
So any last thoughts on this Eagles and 49ers?
Like pretty much everything that we were just saying, I think it's going to come down to Hertz. I don't see Hertz turning into a pumpkin. I think he is who he is. I think we are
Yep.
seeing an ascendant, potentially top 3 MVP level player, and I think we're going to continue to. I think he's going to continue to solidify that next or this coming week.
So for the next 15 minutes, we're going to talk about the two teams that you despise the most. It's the Kansas City Chiefs who beat the Bills last year
And the
and
year
the
before.
Cincinnati Bengals who beat you last week.
Yep.
This is hard for you, I bet, but all bias aside, who can you see winning? Who are we looking at?
All bias aside, I've had to work very hard to come back to a place where I'm just like a fan. Like I said, I love doing these podcasts. I love talking football, and my fandom for football very much overwhelms me when it comes to my pain for the Bills. I would say I'm a Bills fan first, but I don't think that I am incapable of objectivity. That being said, them boys in Cincinnati are a problem. They
Yeah.
are a problem. They're playing like the Philadelphia Eagles have been playing all year right now. They've been putting it together. They're the hottest team in football. They're a buzzsaw. They really are a buzzsaw. And a lot of it has to do with the poise and maturity of their quarterback, Joe Burrow, the effectiveness of their defense the last 10 weeks. They've been playing unreal defensive football and making that offense in Buffalo look completely human and look completely putrid, actually. That takes some skill. And I think a lot of it has to do with the defensive line. Hendrickson, Hubbard, Reeder, Hill. They're playing just some of the best football I've seen. And I think they're on a crash course to go toe to toe with Mr. Hurts in Philadelphia for the Super Bowl. That's spoiler alert. We have a lot of game to talk about, but I'm going to tell you right now, I am picking Cincinnati to win this game just based off of the
Yeah.
sheer dominance that we've seen from them lately.
I mean, I have to agree with you. Cincinnati, just watching them play, they're more together. Where Kansas City, they have shot themselves in the foot a few times. They have made small mistakes on defense. They're allowing a lot of yards being made, a lot of points being scored. Against Jacksonville, it was very very close. And so this is going to be a very close game. But the Bengals I think they're going to keep the lead for the majority of the game. I think it's
Yeah,
going to come down to that.
yeah, I definitely think I could definitely see a scenario. He's Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy
Right.
Reid. They have Travis Kelsey. Those guys are all still suiting up. They're all still here. The ankle is a huge X factor for me. If Mahomes is 80% of Mahomes, I think you got a 1-score game. I think you got a 3-point game. And I think it's harder to pick against 80% Mahomes. I would probably take 80% Mahomes over almost every other quarterback in the NFL. Maybe Burrow and Allen would be the only two I would take over 80% of Mahomes. He's that good.
Yeah.
His finesse in the pocket and outside of it is second to none. And if he can create just a little bit of that magic, and if Kansas City's front can penetrate that banged up Bengals O line, if Chris Jones can take advantage of backup offensive linemen the way Ed Oliver wasn't able to, we might be looking at another Kansas City Super Bowl appearance. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be mad at it because they're fun to watch. And
Oh,
when
absolutely.
you put your hatred and your bias aside as like a fan who just wishes his team had that kind of success, it's really hard to not just kind of fawn over the beauty of their game. I mean, Mahomes, he's a surgeon. He really has the sort of Rogers effect of just like Rogers in his prime. You could never count him out. You know?
Yeah. I agree with you. 80% Mahomes is better than most quarterbacks, and that he really made that defense look bad at the first part of the game until he hurt his ankle. I mean,
Yeah,
this might have been a blowout game if he didn't hurt
for
his
sure.
ankle, right? I mean, because he was making it look easy.
Yeah,
That's what I said. I'm like looking at the TV. I'm like, what is this? Is this a regular season game? Like, is it this is playoffs?
yeah,
And I think that if he can just do that against the Bengals defense, which is they're a little tougher. It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, especially when your main guy is Travis Kelsey. You shut
yeah.
Kelsey down, but you can't really shut Kelsey down. But if you even slow him down, it's going to make it hard for Patrick Mahomes to get the ball to him. If you get the ball to Kelsey, you're going to score touchdowns. But the Cincinnati defense will be the one to kind of slow that down.
Yeah, as a fan, and you can relate to this, as a fan of a team with a historical championship drought, there is a part of me that wants to see the Bengals win it all. I want to see their fans, get that monkey off their back. I want to see that city celebrate a championship, which they never have. Um, but that means Eli Apple gets to be happy, and I don't want that. So there's a part of me that thinks he could be the weakness on the Bengals defense. Actually, not a part of me. He's the weakness on the Bengals defense.
Absolutely.
And if Marquez Valdez Scantling, who they went out and paid the medium dollars to, can just get behind him on a couple plays, this could be one of those games where Mahomes does what Mahomes does. And if they beat him deep once on a double move or an out and up or whatever you want to call it, then it opens up a lot of stuff underneath because they're going to have to play like Jesse Bates and Von Bell are going to have to play back more, which will open up the field for Kelsey, which will open up the field for Juju. I think could be a big Jerick McKinnon game. There's so many names on Kansas City, those ancillary pieces that they've been sort of like trotting out week after week. Everybody thinks, oh, they're a bunch. It's an average group of weapons. They're in the conference championship. So you tell me. I mean, I know Mahomes is the ultimate weapon. I know Andy Reid's brain is quite the weapon, and Kelsey's worth two wide receiver ones. But here we are. We're looking at a situation where Mahomes has a shot to punch him in the mouth and knock that
Yeah.
team down a peg. And I think he wants to do that. I think the Chiefs are probably have a big chip on their shoulder, just like the Bengals do.
Right. And if the Chiefs don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's because they got shut down on defense. I don't think that this offense is going to have a problem whatsoever.
Mhm.
But Kansas City has struggled to slow down offenses,
Yeah,
and Cincinnati is one of the best offenses out there. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler
those
Boyd.
weapons are crazy.
Joe Mixon, and you have these guys. They're healthy. They're ready to win a Super Bowl instead of lose one. This is a rematch of last year. It's going to be tense. They're going to want to go out and play their very best. Joe Burrow was the most sacked quarterback last year.
Yeah.
This year, he's been sacked twice as less than do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like half.
Half as much times as he got sacked last year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
So the offensive line has really like got it together, and that's allowing Joe Burrow to have time to use his targets, and that's why that offense is operating so well, especially against Buffalo, they have not been terrible on defense. So to watch that offensive explosion happen, it
Yeah.
was wild.
Honestly, I think that's a conversation for its own thing. I think that has a lot to do with Leslie Frazier. The scheme let them down, and they trusted the scheme blindly. I think good teams, and this is a theme for the Bills' season-ending losses every year. Good teams make those adjustments in the playoffs. They change their scheme. They know that what got them there isn't necessarily going to get them all the way if they don't think about it. There's a screenshot floating around Twitter of a 3rd and 4 where they were playing off coverage, and it's Jamar Chase and it's T Higgins. You said it yourself. Those guys, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They're freak athletes. They're great wide receivers.
Absolutely.
They're big framed guys, and Burrow's pinpoint accurate. That's a bad combination, and the Chiefs have a pretty average secondary. And
Yeah.
so that's definitely the most exploitable matchup for the Bengals when they're on offense. Mixon can get it going. Don't get me wrong; he had a fantastic game against Buffalo. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Mixon went out there and had 60, 70 yards. That's a prop I would look at. I would look at the Mixon line if it's in the 50 to 60 range. I'd think about taking the over there. Uh, but that being said, Burrow attacking the secondary, it definitely scares me unless Chris Jones can create some penetration. I mean, the Chiefs' defensive line was a huge part of the reason they won that game against the
Yeah,
Jaguars. And
absolutely.
if they can duplicate that sort of pressure on Burrow, which we weren't, like I said, we didn't see that from Buffalo. Let's see if Kansas City can figure it out. Let's see if Kansas City can learn from Buffalo's mistakes and take advantage of that, because I think that's a matchup to be exploited if the coaching is there and if the players execute.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Both offenses are just they're connecting.
Yeah,
And if I had to bet an over on one of these games, it'd be this one.
I agree. I
I
completely agree.
I don't know what the over is. It's probably like 60 plus though. Because I mean these teams, I mean Kansas City, they've scored the most points of any team after the Eagles, maybe. And then the Bengals are like fourth or fifth in points
Yeah,
scored.
yeah,
So, and a lot of these points were through the air for
yeah.
both of these teams. So that ball's going to be in the air more than it's going to be on the
It
ground.
could be a shootout for sure. I'm definitely hoping for one of those crazy, I would love to see like a Bills Chiefs type game, like from last
Yeah,
last year's playoffs. I would love to see a shootout where the last team that has the ball wins. I think normally I would favor Mahomes in that situation. I think he's the best quarterback in the league, no doubt. But if it's not healthy Mahomes, that's the question.
right.
And the re-injury risk is high. So if the Bengals get a little chippy and they say somebody falls into him, I hope to God they don't. I've seen that sort of style of play from them before with Trey Hendrickson launching himself at Josh Allen's ankle. It does happen, unfortunately. I hope to God that doesn't happen because I really want to see two healthy teams duke it out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No walking boot for Mahomes in the presser. No limp.
He was
The
jogging at practice.
the
So
Vegas
he's
line
looking
has
okay.
been, I don't know if you've been tracking it, but it's
I
been
have.
like it was all the way to, like, I think it started out Chiefs were 3-point favorites. They got all the way down to 3-point dogs, and I think now they're back up to 1-point favorites again.
Yeah.
Ugh, this game,
I love it.
man.
I'm so excited.
It's so exciting, dude.
Um, so when it comes to that though, if he does, I mean, because Chad Henne is not going to be able to get
No,
through that Bengal. Yeah,
that's
he
that's
had
an
that
L.
amazing drive
He
against the
did.
Jaguars, went out from their own end zone. That was a
Yeah,
cool drive. That was kind of exciting. That was kind of cool to see a backup do that,
yeah, it was really cool.
off the limb like that. But against the
Yeah,
Bengals defense, you're backed up in your end zone. That's 2 points.
yeah,
And Patrick Mahomes has to stay healthy and he has to stay on it if he wants to beat this Bengals team because they're good. A lot of times there's this narrative where a lot of teams just like, oh, the offense is good, but the defense is eh. And then the defense is good, but the offense is eh. But this Bengals team, you can say that the offense and defense are both 100%, and it's incredible to see.
yeah. I would say that if there was any unit out of the four that I thought was the weakest, it would be the Chiefs' defense. And their offense has been masking that liability all year. And who's to say that they won't do the same thing to, like, this weekend? Like, who's to say? That's
Right.
why they play the game, and that's why we do these podcasts, because we want to know. But the Chiefs, again, situational football, their defense plays, they tighten up when they need to. That's why they win games. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mahomes is the driving force and Andy Reid
Yeah.
is the driving force, but they win games when they need to win. Like, the defense tightens up when they need to. It happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
I mean, we
force.
we've seen it all season, and you're right. Like you see something kind of switch. It's
Mhm.
like they turned something new on, and then like the defense like change. I don't know. They changed their scheme entirely in the last 2 minutes of the
Yeah.
game, and we've seen it because it's like it'd be like a 30-30 game. It's like okay, this team's gonna go down and score. They've already scored 30 points on the Chiefs. Oh, turnover, and like you're like whoa.
Yeah, it's insane,
Because
man.
they
Yeah.
they show up out of nowhere like that, and I
The
do think I will say that this game will come down to the 2-minute warning.
yeah, I could see it too, and like I said, it's probably gonna be the last guy with the ball who wins the game, and
Yeah.
I mean, my head says, Cincinnati, and I want it to be the Chiefs just because, like I said, I don't want Eli Apple happy, but I could see it being either way. I really could. I think Bengals Eagles is the most likely Super Bowl matchup we have, but any of the possible matchups are going to be exciting. They're going
Oh,
to be awesome.
absolutely.
So it's a win-win-win for fans, really.
Yeah, it is, and, I also have the Bengals winning, and I do wanna see the Bengals win. It was hard last year because I was rooting for Stafford
Right.
to win his Super Bowl, and so it's like,
Correct.
"Alright, well, I'm not gonna root for the Bengals." So now it's my chance, I can root for the Bengals now, so
There
here
you
we
go.
are. I
There you
like it
go.
I like a good underdog story, and Cincinnati is one of those underdog stories,
Yeah, they were they
biased
were
fan.
they were slept on all year, and all the way up through the playoffs, people weren't really giving them the shot that they were giving the Bills and the Chiefs, and now they have a chance to prove that they're the best.
Yep.
They did it last year, and if they do it again, I don't think we can even have that conversation. I think they're the class of the AFC if they do it again.
I just think personally, I think I would like to see Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown go up against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I
That would
think that
be
though it would just be amazing.
with the two teams with arguably the two best. They each of them have two great wide receivers.
Right,
That's a
exactly.
fun, exciting dynamic because I
Kansas
think
City's best wide receiver is Travis Kelce, a tight
yeah,
end.
literally. They don't really have I mean, I guess Juju is okay. I mean,
Yeah.
MVS, ugh, yuck.
He's fast.
He's
That's what he is. Not Tyreek Hill fast, but he can move.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be really, really exciting, Anthony. I'm super, super glad that us as football fans are treated to these matchups.
Yeah, if this comes down to special teams, who do you think's going to take this? Because it
Ooh,
could the offenses are so this could come down to special teams. Who does better on special teams?
that is a really great question. I think I'm inclined to lean with the Bengals. They've been playing really good special teams this year.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
And then on in the NFC, the Niners have Ray McLeod, and he's a great returner, but he's prone to mistakes. I've seen him fumble. I've seen
Yeah,
him put the ball on the carpet a lot. So that'll be also another one. I'd probably lean Philly for that one as well. Look at us go!
10 seconds. We did so good.
Just
It's
another
amazing.
day in
All
football
right,
chat
5 seconds
paradise.
left, and that's the game.
That's the
All right,
pod.
Kevin. Thank you so much for coming on. And any last thoughts? We can have a little bit of a locker room talk here, a little
Yeah,
post press conference.
last thoughts, man, my dude. I am just for the players and the teams that are still in it. I'm super stoked. I am looking forward to hopefully at some point doing a little off-season chat with you about the Bills and the Lions and like our prospects and what we want to see from our teams moving forward. That could be some really fun content, man.
Yep.
If it's Madden right now, I'm in the trade room just going crazy, just trying to get as many picks and get rid
Yeah.
of as many of those bad contracts, expiring older players. So that's going to be a fun time down the road. What do you think about that? How does that sound?
I like that. I think the offseason is really exciting if you pay attention to everything that's going around the league. A lot of
Yeah,
times, like prospects will come out, and then you'll get like scouting reports, and then like the next week there'll be like this guy who was scouted who's like, oh, maybe he's the best one, and then
right.
things change. Then
Yeah,
the draft combine happens, and then
yeah.
there's the draft, which we will definitely be covering that.
I can't
So
wait.
I'm excited about the offseason. It's going to be
Definitely,
good.
man. Me
And we
too.
have
Me too.
free agents. We have a lot of new players in free agency who are unrestricted. They have not been re-signed yet. So
Yeah, the running back
we'll see.
position is going to be entirely reset this year, and that's going to be something that's going to be really fun to watch.
And then we'll talk about this later, but Aaron Rodgers might not be coming to the Packers. So there's a lot to talk about.
Aaron Rodgers,
Tom
Lamar
Brady.
Jackson, Tom Brady, Daniel Jones. A lot of quarterbacks are going to be switching teams. Derek Carr,
Yeah,
Trey Lance.
it's going to be fun.
It's
I'm
going to be a
excited.
fun offseason, man. I'm super excited.
Me too. But we aren't even at the Super Bowl yet. So I think we're just,
Let's enjoy the ride while we can, right?
we have to, right? It's going to be
Our
over.
teams are out, so we're
before we
looking
know-
ahead, but there's a lot
Yeah,
right in front of us too.
exactly. All right. Well, it was nice having you on again.
Thank you,
I'll see
brother.
you next Thursday when we talk about probably talk about the Pro Bowl roster a little bit. And
Yes, sir.
then the Super Bowl. So
Cannot wait.
we're almost there. It's almost Super Bowl Sunday. I mark it on my calendar as a federal holiday. I
Nice.
know it's
Should
not,
be.
but it absolutely should
The
be.
Monday after we should all get a day off.
Yeah. I'm really excited. It's a day I look forward to every year.
Me too, bro.
So let's wrap it up and I'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah, that was fantastic, man. Thank you.
Don't forget the Legit Football Podcast. We record and put out on all streaming services and YouTube tomorrow.
I'll be
we'll-
catching you guys then too.
Yes, Kevin will be on
You
that
guys will hear
episode.
me
So
flesh out those thoughts from today a little bit more tomorrow.
all right. So Kevin, I'll see you tomorrow. And
Thank you, Anthony.
this has been 30 minutes of football with Legit Football. That's spicy.
Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.